Coffee Pot Conversations.
Bonjour et bienvenue to Coffee Pot Conversations, a podcast that bites off more than it can chew. So that's thanks to Dr. Jenny, who not only finished my treatment, but after dental surgery, so that's not great. So, episode 4.3, November Overnight Stay in Paris, part 12. Yeah, it's going to be 18 parts. It's going to take to the end of the season, so apologies. Or no, I caught up with Frankie a few days back and actually went out for an evening. That sounds wrong. Where I used to work, we all caught up, went out for the night. Nev was there, Frankie, Chloe, Emily, Mo, Wayne, Errol, Mary, and her husband John. So that was, Chloe's sister Shana as well, who really gets on well with Nev. So shout out to all of you guys, or just Emily and Frankie, because you're the only ones really paying attention to the show. So Frankie said that she's still watching the show, which is great. And it's always nice to hear when people say that they listen. So on that note, I want you guys to leave me, you guys, Frankie, if you want, or anybody else that happens to fall upon this part, should be in the call to actions, but leave me a message on, ready for it, voicenote.anenglishmaninparis.blog. You log in there, you leave a voice note, press record or record it on your phone and upload it, however you want to do it, I don't care. I get a message, and if you want, I'll read it out in the next show that it pertains to. That makes sense. You know these parts aren't scripted. Anyway, some of you also mentioned the fact that you liked Vonnie's translations in the last episode, and I was going to get to do some more for this episode, but she was on holiday in Rotterdam, so thanks Vonnie letting aside that. I'm joking. Glad you had a nice time. And yeah, so there we go. Oh, I know you guys don't like all this fancy bits just before I get into the news, which some of you don't like either. But I test drove a Tesla the other day. All of my Rousers, McBowsers. It was beautiful drive, smooth, lovely. It was Series Y, whatever they call it. Not really looking to get one because I can't afford 40 grand. So, which is why I'm sat in a coffee shop talking to the phone. So now over to the news. Paul. Thanks, Paul. First, a major redevelopment in the 9th arrondissement, the historic headquarters of the former Comptoir National des Escomptes, a precursor to BNP Paribas, never know if it was French or Spanish, so maybe Paribas as opposed to Paribas, is being transformed into what's now being called Bergère Ex Paris, a €100 million urban project. This Belle Epoque gem, built in 1880 and renowned for its 17-metre glass roof and early central heating, will become a multi-use hub with co-working spaces, a hotel, a bar, gardens, and even a restaurant. Another one I would be ignoring because of its overpricedness. Completion is expected in early 2026. Now, whether it becomes a new creative hub or just another overpriced cafe cluster remains to be seen. Meanwhile, something older and darker is going underground for a while. Paris catacombs will close from November the 3rd for 6 months of renovations. What's the aim? Well, a better route, a more stable floor in the ossuary, and new lighting and ventilation. The renovations promise a more educational experience, whether that means fewer Instagram photos of skulls and more information about 18th century burials, time will tell. On the surface, Montmartre is feeling the weight of its own popularity. Locals are sounding the alarm over tourism, pointing to the disappearance of neighbourhood staples like grocers and butchers, replaced instead by fast food counters and snack bars. It's a story familiar in many, many cities, but here it's especially noticeable, where charm and cliche seem to blur more each summer. So those of you that have a subscription to VMAX on the electric Velib bikes, please pay attention. From August the 12th, the first 2 electric bike rides will no longer be free. They cost 50 centimes each. Centimes or cents? 50 cents each, with the usual €2 fee kicking in after that. The monthly rate stays at €9.30, but the freebie era quietly being retired, unlike me, who's still kicking and screaming, trying to get off work early. Heads up for UK travellers, from October the 12th, the EU entry-exit system The EES comes into effect, finally, in theory. This digital border scheme will automate passport checks for non-EU citizens arriving in the Schengen zone. And that includes Brits, which is me. So expect to provide fingerprints and a quick mugshot at designated kiosks upon arrival. Kiosks, but in reality, it's very similar to what we go through coming back from Paris already. Quick fingerprint, quick photo. It's just measuring up your passports. In terms of which, ETIAS, the EU's travel authorisation system, is expected to launch in 2026, generally 6 months after. But this doesn't record your biometric comings and goings. It just requires UK travellers to apply online and pay a fee, which is now going to be €20 before entering any Schengen country. So you can think of that as, the EU showing that they miss the UK, but not that much. And that's the news for the episode. Now, over to Rory.
Coffee Pot Conversations.
Okay, so I had a little pit stop on the way. I had two. It was 2 benches, which can be seen along there, as well as many, many benches along here, but I didn't sit on those ones. So I've come from Place de Concorde down there, spoke to Roy and Jasper. They got day off, inset day. Petit Palais, Grand Palais. Didn't even bother checking the maps because, hey, back in Paris, I know where I am. All the way down the bottom, Arc de Triomphe, which means between the Arc de Triomphe and Place de Concorde, cutting through Avenue de Churchill, I believe, is this long road, which is Champs-Élysées. Yes, it is. So now I've just got one long walk. From there, I may take the metro because my legs are a little bit tired. Done a lot of walking, a lot of talking. Rory asked how it was going. So, being honest, it's not been good. Face aside, accommodation aside, not good. The walking down the street, not a problem. I can talk about that stuff. The sitting in a coffee shop and recording, which is really what I wanted to do, also not good. Excuse me. But doesn't matter. I'm getting there slowly. Even if I just do this like the vlog as opposed to the podcast, as I've said 50,000 times, that will do me for now, hopefully. So anyway, back to the most beautiful avenue in the world. Oh, I think I've just seen the fountains that I mentioned in the episode that I've never seen before, even though I have run past them. Often described as the world's most beautiful avenue, the Avenue des Champs-Élysées stretches for 1.17 miles, or 1.88 kilometres. From the Arc de Triomphe to the Place de la Concorde, it's such a beautiful avenue that I've even recorded an episode on it, episode 2.5. So apart from getting you to listen to my episode, 2.5, what can I tell you? What new information can I give? Or perhaps just a recap instead. The Champs-Élysées is renowned worldwide for being the site of the final stage of the Tour de France, hosting the parade on the 14th of July for Bastille Day, and it also plays its part for New Year's celebrations. But for me, on a personal note, it's where the Paris Marathon starts each April. It wasn't always like this, the Champs-Élysées. Originally, Queen Marie de Medici, Henry IV's wife, decided to create an avenue of trees at the end of the Tuileries Garden. In the 17th century, André Lenotre, Louis XIV's gardener, produced a path through the swampy land of the Tuileries Garden, the Jardin des Tuileries. It moved that westwards, transforming the Grand Cour into the Avenue des Tuileries. In 1709, after even more extension works, the name Avenue des Champs-Élysées was given. According to Greek mythology, the Elysian Fields is where Greek gods and heroes went after they died. The entrance of the Tuileries is actually the beginning of the Champs-Élysées, and despite common misconception that it begins at the Place de l'Étoile, that's where it ends, just a few steps from the formidable Arc de Triomphe. I'd love to give you more on this, but it's quite possibly for another episode. Although you could always go back and listen to episode 2.5 if you want a little more without the wait. It'll be at least season 5 before I even contemplate discussing this. Sorry to interrupt again. I believe that this was the one where the boys had their crepe, despite me calling it originally a churros. And I think that was the one where Rory had set to Jasper to try and shove it in his mouth in one go, and it just got covered all over, as expected. Now, it was here that I needed to take up a bit of space talking about the fountains, which, if you're watching the video, can be seen just in front of you. But I did mention this back in episode 2.5, Champs-Élysées, so I'm not going to go over it. But all that's happening whilst you're watching the video is I'm walking through, it's November, and it's beautiful, glorious sunshine, beautiful, clear blue skies. Grass is greener than you would expect in a November month in Paris. The fountains are just working their way, and they rotate. That's a photo that I've just taken, which you will now see. Now again, as I mentioned in the episode about Champs-Élysées, so I don't remember how many Swarovski crystals involved in that. It doesn't look like there's many. Difficult to say. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I promise you, there are 6. But know where the crystals are. Maybe they're highlighted more during the day, during the night, when the lights are working. I've got green man, let's go. For those of you not watching, I'm just crossing the road, going over zebra crossing, and I'm about to take a photo of another fountain, which is identical to the photo I've just taken before. It's identical to the fountain I've taken before. The photo's different. Different photo, different fountain. The reason I'm stood still there for those watching the video, I just took a photo. But look. Look at that. Whee. I was here for that. With Never and the boys. I better get out of the road. See these? We got these underneath.
Rouge, piéton.
Press the button.
Avenue, Franklin,
The button just tucked under there.
Rouge, piéton. Avenue, Franklin, Roosevelt. Rouge, piéton. Avenue, Franklin, Roosevelt.
Avenue Franklin de Roosevelt.
Avenue Franklin Roosevelt. Rouge, piéton. Avenue Franklin Roosevelt. Rouge, piéton.
And that noise? Green light. Green man, but you get the idea. Crossy time. They're going to come up to the shop where Nev and I went to get our on bibs for the Paris 10K. Just over there, which appears to be shut now. We've got holding, so I don't know if they're doing it up or if it's shut down properly. Difficult to know. I mean, it was alright. It wasn't a great shop. They didn't have everything that we wanted. I think everything for isn't it for something? Socks, basketball socks, I think. But yeah, didn't have. So they've shut this one down. There's arrows pointing all the way. Not really sure what's happening. Anyway, back to Champs-Élysées now. I normally walk on this side of the street. up and down. So I'll continue to walk on this side of the street. This isn't great podcast listening, podcast viewing, podcast material. It's quite literally me walking down the Champs-Elysees in November 2024. Yeah, the sky's blue, which is lovely. The trees, they've still got leaves. But there's pavement and there's buildings and there's shops. I've never really understood what it is about the Champs-Elysees that people find so enthralling and encapsulating. Yes, I understand the history, and yes, there are expensive shops, but there are more expensive shops in other parts of Paris. I just don't really get it. But, you know, it's a nice wide street. So we're just going to come up to a board which says Happy Electric Holidays on the Champs-Elysees. This summer, EDF and Paris 2024 introduced an extraordinary magical electrical object, the Olympic and Paralympic cauldron. By designing an electric flame formed of water and light, EDF reinvented an object that has historically consumed fossil fuels. This festive season, EDF will continue to power the magic and poetry of light by setting aglow the most beautiful avenue in the world. EDF, supplier of magic to the Champs-Elysees, welcomes you to an electric world. Back to me. So, they're saying that EDF and Paris 2024 are going to do something with the cauldron. That'll be interesting to see what they do. And not only that, but from June the 21st until September 14th and each subsequent summer until Los Angeles takes the mantle of hosting the games in 2028, it will be free access with no booking required to see the cauldron above the Jardin de Tuileries. Now I did say that next time I'm in Paris I'm going to get myself a Lacoste top or something from Lacoste, but I'm going to do that on another occasion because my bag is too heavy and I don't really want to do it. So I'm not going to. So we have over there, tucked away, we've got the Five Guys. And tree-lined avenues. I've also got along this way, oh look, it's a fisherman. But more importantly, or equally as important, slightly different topic, Galerie Lafayette advertising Wicked.
Coffee Pot Conversations.
And thank you for tuning in to episode 4.3, a November overnight stay, part 12. Yep, 18 parts in total. Nearly there. So, at this stage, I normally wish people a happy birthday, normally for those that I've missed. But this one's different, although happy birthday, Lee, also known affectionately to the boys as Uncle Lee. Yeah, it's my brother's birthday at the beginning of the month. I need to check my diary more often, but happy birthday, Lee. However, happy birthday, Auntie Karen. That's Lee's wife, my sister-in-law, and the boys' auntie. It's going to be her birthday before the next episode, so huzzah, happy birthday, Auntie Karen. Now, I'm mentioning this because the gram, I have my nephew, my eldest nephew, Greg, following me on Instagram, so at least a member of the family knows what I'm up to, apart from my mother who doesn't really understand the gram, and my dad who is on Instagram, which I only found out by accident because I had to fix his phone remotely, which is a weird setup with 2 WhatsApp phone calls and all the rest of the blah blahs. So that was that. I am filming this live in a coffee shop using 2 phones now and check this out. It's a little selfie screen, so I can monitor, because having a lot of screens as it is sitting in a coffee shop just isn't demeaning enough. So I'm doing this in preparation for season 5, which, yes, I should have mentioned in the coming up section, which is now coming up. So coming up, time for Jasper's jingle.
Coming up on Coffee Pot Conversations.
We have episode 4.4, a November overnight stay in Paris Part 13. I'm so sorry it's taken so long. Who knew? Anyway, one thing is this little Costa cup here. Watch. It's cleverly done. And I'll tell you why it's cleverly done, because it's in a solid cup. Look. Why do I do that? Continuity. So if I need to take a break, no one can see how much is in there. No one even knows if it's full up or not, but it's about 3/4 full at the minute. Anyway, coming up is much after this, next year, season 5. In the interim, I am prepping, because it's going to be a different style of episode, different style of season. I don't want to give too much away, but it's going to be me talking. So it's going to be sort of like season 2 where I talk, but you're going to see me talking, unless you just want to listen, in which case, you can put it on YouTube and not watch. Listen to Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I cannot for the life of me get video on Apple Podcasts. I've tried. It's just not happening. No one's doing RSS feeds with video, so I'm not going to be doing that. What else is happening? I've got a few things in the pipeline which I'm keeping quiet because A, Nev doesn't know, and B, I don't even know if it's going to come to fruition. Just got to wait and see. So you will notice I've not done intros and outros. That's because I'm trying to go without them. Yeah, but next season should have some B-roll, possibly related to what I'm talking about, but it probably won't. I'll just intersperse it with different things while I'm interweaving different things. Also, finally, last coming up is I have a trip with Nev, a little holiday, if you will. Well, it is a holiday. I've got a little holiday to the Cotswolds with Nev coming up in a couple of weeks. It's our little summer break whereby she'll be reading and taking baths, and I'll be doing more podcast research, typing, and all the rest of the blah blahs, and writing in my notebook for my blog, an Englishman in Paris.blog. Looking forward to that, just sitting in a garden maybe, and doing that sort of stuff. Who knows? So now, just a quick call to action. As I said earlier, voice notes .anenglishmaninparis.blog. Leave me a little message if you wish. You don't have to, but it would be nice. Let me know what's going on. Can include it in what's in my hand. No green screen. We can include it in the following episode. Just if you want me to, or I can just read it out what you've said to me, relaying your message. I'll even take negative. Please stop. That's not a problem. Anyway, that's that. And also, what I did do was I posted about my interview with Press Maxon, who is an absolutely amazing chap, lovely fella, musician, author. He does the music for the Earful Tower podcast. So big shout out to Oliver G, his wife, Lena. I was going to say their children, but that's a little bit weird. But lovely family. They do some amazing work. They're really, they're just, honestly, they're also, I've not met Lena, I'll be honest, but I have met Oliver G. He's a very nice, sincere chap. The inspiration for me doing this podcast at the next stage on from when I first started writing a blog because of my university stuff. You don't care about that. Anyway, check out my interview with Press Maxon. You can watch the videos on Spotify and YouTube, or you can listen to it on Spotify and YouTube, and also on Apple Podcasts and anywhere else. I probably linked it to my blog as well, which would be, surprisingly, an Englishmaninparis.blog. So, until next time, keep the coffee hot, the pot warm, and the conversation cool.
Coffee Pot Conversations.